I let you judge Pokemon Drag Race. At the start of October, I pulled together a cast of 12 Halloween-themed Pokemon and put them into a RuPaul's Drag Race season.
Except,
instead of using any simulators or judging them myself, I put them into YouTube polls for you to judge. For each episode, I nominated tops and bottoms of the week, and then I gave them to you to decide on who you think would win the challenge and who you think would go home. Who do you think is most deserving of the Halloween Drag Race crown? Let's find out. So before we get into the actual season, I'm gonna do a little cast reveal for you. If you did these polls with us already, you know who the cast is, and you can so easily go to the community tab to just figure it out. But I just want to talk about how I decided on this cast for Pokemon Drag Race poll Halloween, whatever the hell we want to call it. So my first choice was Pumpkaboo and Trevenant, of course. You had to have Pumpkaboo for any Halloween-themed anything if it's Pokemon. Pumpkaboo is like the Halloween girliana, and I could have done Gourgeist, but I think a lot of people like Pumpkaboo more than they like Gourgeist, and I do too. I think Pumpkaboo is cute, and Gourgeist is like, she's girliana mama, but she doesn't represent the jack-o'-lantern as well as Pumpkaboo does, I think. And of course, Trevenant and Phantump are the counterpart. I thought Trevenant gave the spooky forest vibe better than Phantump did, and Phantump is very baby. I just think she wouldn't be ready for the competition. It's also worth noting that Trevenant very soon became known as Trevor in our polls, and we love Trevor in this household. So if I say Trevor instead of Trevenant, you know what's happening. The next choices for the cast were the Witch Trio. There were Alaska talks of witches, I guess. Although there wasn't any clear storyline because there's no drama actually happening. I wonder if we can figure out a way to do that for the next season, but I wanted the witches, and these are the three obvious witches to me in Pokemon. Mismagius, Delphox, and Hatterene. And the other nice thing about them is they all have different types. I mean, obviously Delphox and Hatterene are both psychic types, but really Delphox gives fire before Delphox gives psychic. And then we got Mismagius with ghost, so we've got a good variety of different types of witches. I know this does make a quarter of the cast of witches, but like, I could not have the girls, you know, they had to be here. Next up, we've got Houndoom and Lycanroc, who are the dog duo. But they both had to be here, Houndoom representing Satan, the depths of hell, and Lycanroc representing the werewolves, of course. Next up, we've got the Halloween creepy crawlies. We've got Ariados, who is our spider rep. I think that Ariados is the most Halloween-y spider. Really, we've got what? Ariados, a Galvantula, Araquanid, and Spidops, and Ariados is poison type, and I think just represents the Halloween aesthetic the best out of those ones. And Arbok, I wanted a little snake. I wanted some good poison type representation. All three of these are great poison type representation. And I was really torn between Arbok and Seviper, but I just thought Arbok gave Halloween more than Seviper did, and y'all can fight me on that, and that's fine. And then we got Crobat for the vampire bat moment. Little bats are such a classic Halloween decoration, and we needed a bat, and really what? We've got Crobat, Noibat, and Woobat, and Crobat is the most Halloween-y, I think. And lastly, these are kind of oddball picks for the cast with Lunatone and Chandelure. They're the only two that I didn't really know how to fit into their own category in this cast reveal. Lunatone I picked as an oddball to represent the moon, because there's a lot of moon imagery. There's a lot of moon imagery in Halloween artwork with like the witch flying across the moon, or like the werewolves howling at the moon, or just like spooky crescent moon with fog and stuff. So I thought Lunatone would be fun for that. And Chandelure I know is like a fan favorite. People love Chandelure. Chandelure is giving us our taste of vampiric gothic Halloween, I think. Spooky haunted manor with the chandelier that falls on you when you walk into it because it's been possessed by a ghost. And she's another ghost type. I was really, really conscious of not oversaturating this cast with ghost types, and I think I did a good job. We only had 4 ghost types, so only 1/3 of this cast actually ended up being ghost type, which I was really happy with because I was worried it was just gonna be a ghost drag race, which I didn't want. But that's our cast. You can see them all here. When I was developing this in my brain, I'm like, okay, obviously we've got a Pumpkaboo, Trevor duo, we've got the 3-witch duo, we've got the dog duo. Then I was like, okay, Chandelure and Mismagius probably have something there. Ariados and Arbok probably have something. I really felt like Lunatone was a little bit of an odd one out in this cast, but we'll see how that goes in the voting. Which we're gonna get into right now. I want to preface beforehand that the way this functions is at the start of every episode, I would nominate Pokemon to be in the top and Pokemon to be in the bottom with the help of my friend Opal Crumble. And then I would give them to you guys to vote on who you think would win, who you think would be safe, and who you think would go home. I also want to preface that some of the polls results may have changed since results have been decided, especially when we get into the later game when we start seeing actual percentages. If you go look at those polls now, they might have different percentages, but this is the percentage they had when I took the data. So things change, and if that's happened, then that's happened, and I'm sorry. But let's get into episode 1, which I made as the Spooktacular Talent Show. Now, I chose the talent show for our first episode of our first Pokemon Poll Drag Race because I think the talent show is a really even playing ground for all contestants. It really depends on what they are able to bring to the stage. So there's no bias of, oh, this Pokemon probably can't sew, or this Pokemon probably is a bad dancer. It's a very even playing field, and it just comes down to what we think the Pokemon can bring. And so, for the tops and bottoms, I nominated Hatterene, Ariados, Delphox, and Lycanroc for the top, and then Lunatone, Crobat, Arbok, and Chandelure for the bottom. The other 4 divas, they're safe, they're in the back, they're having their little blackberry juice or whatever they want. They're thriving, they're having poffins. We'll start with the tops here. So Hatterene, Ariados, Delphox, and Lycanroc were nominated. Hatterene and Delphox were very obvious choices for me. I think they'd both give stunning magic shows. I think it'd be one of those things though where it's hard not to compare the two of them. And Delphox would probably do like a fire magic show, and Hatterene is obviously her other thing is fairy, so I think hers would be like a sparkly, glittery magic show with like Dazzling Gleam, Moonblast. I think those two would both be really stunning. Ariados is here because we were figuring that she would probably do like a web slinging thing, or she could do like a speed sewing like Raja O'Hara, because you know, she weaves webs and that's kind of cool, and honestly, weaving webs, that's a talent. And last we have Lycanroc up here, who I think would kind of be the oddball pick for the top, who could put on like a little rock performance. They'd be super edgy, super cool, something different, so that the top isn't like just the obvious girly-anas. Now, what did you guys think? First of all, Lycanroc is safe. Lycanroc got the least amount of votes in this poll, and honestly, I agree with that. Lycanroc was kind of the one where we did, you're the 4th one up there because we need 4. And other ones could have been up there, but we were like, let's try you and see what the people think, and the people agreed with us. So that leaves Delphox, Hatterene, and Ariados, and who did you pick to win? Delphox, of course. Delphox is who I would have picked to win this episode too. I think a fire magic show just has a little bit more of an edge on a fairy magic show, and I think web slinging is cool, but I just think it's hard to deny when someone puts on a good fire show, it's mind-blowing. And so we can move on to the bottoms now with Lunatone, Crobat, Arbok, and Chandelure, and this is kind of the quad of like, we were like, what would they do? I was like, Crobat is fast and can fly, and like honestly the only thing I can think about right now is, you know, in video games when you have to fly through the rings, that's what I see for Crobat. Like, I guess she did like an agility course for bats, I don't know. Lunatone probably did some sort of hypnosis, very metaphorical, deep performance, and that's just like not what they were looking for. They probably got bored or something, or they went to bed, because if it's hypnosis, they fell asleep and they didn't watch it, period. And Arbok? Here's the thing with Arbok in this season, is I have this intrinsic connection of Arbok and Jessie from Team Rocket, and I'm like, Jessie does Pokemon contests, Arbok would be so good. But Arbok didn't do the Pokemon contest with Jessie, that was Seviper. So I can't be giving Arbok credit for Seviper's work, which is why we're like, okay, I guess Arbok could be down here, let's see what the people think. And then Chandelure was one where we're like, what would you do? Like, it could be great and it could be fine, but she was kind of our 4th pick as well. We're like, we need someone else in the bottom. Who are we gonna do? You. And y'all agreed. Chandelure's safe. She would be fine. I think Chandelure would be safe. I mean, the one thing that's fun with her is she actually is the head of the dance zone in Poke Park. But also, how's she gonna dance? I don't think Chandelure can move her little wiggly things. Like, I think she's a solid, not a liquid. I don't know, though. She's a ghost, she could probably figure something out. That leaves Lunatone, Crobat, and Arbok up for elimination. And the way this worked is the 2 Pokemon that got the least amount of votes in this poll would automatically move into the lip sync elimination. And those 2 were Lunatone and Crobat, unfortunately. And unfortunately, I really strongly agree with Lunatone being in the bottom here. In the casting, I said she was the one who I'm like, I don't really quite see how she fits in or what she would do, but I wanted her to try her out. Bottom 2, episode 1, I guess it checks. And then Crobat, I don't know, a Crobat and Arbok, I feel like it really could have gone either way. I expected Arbok, but I also think I am severely underestimating what Arbok can do, whereas Crobat's just a bat. She's a bat, she flies, but she has friendship. So we've got a lip sync battle between Lunatone and Crobat. I let the people vote on who they think would win this. And it's to Time Warp from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. which is gonna bug everyone in about 2 episodes. You're gonna be so mad that I put this here. I want to preface, I did not initially plan to put lip sync songs. And I was like, oh, that's fun. I'm like, what's a good Halloween song? Time Warp. Well, I was going with the flow initially. Lunatone versus Crobat to Time Warp. And what did you guys say? Lunatone lost with 41% to Crobat's 59%. So it's pretty close, honestly. But Crobat would just beat Lunatone out a little bit. I think Crobat has more movement capability to the song, and this song is campy and party, and I think Lunatone's just a sleepy diva. So unfortunately, Lunatone will be going home in 12th place for us. For episode 2, we decided to do the Shadow Ball, so we've got an early ball in this season. And we nominated Miss Magius, Chandelure, Ariados, and Hatterene for the top, and then the bottoms were Trevenant, Crobat, Pumpkaboo, and Arbok. And this is hard when you think of design divas. I thought Miss Magius, Chandelure, and Hatterene going into the season, in my brain, are all design Pokemon. And part of that is just because they have really good designs and they're really pretty to look at. They're nice Pokemon to look at. And then we have Ariados up there because Ariados, again, can spit string, sew webs. I figure if anyone can sew in this group, it's probably her. But of course, we're suspending disbelief a little bit because these are Pokemon and not people. And we're putting them through Drag Race, which is people. So who did you guys decide to be safe? Ariados, which, to be fair, she was the 4th pick that I put up there, like, let's try it and see what the people think. I think she probably deserved her high placement here because, like, again, she can literally sew, I feel like. So it's fine. But I think Miss Magius, Chandelure, and Hatterene all getting a high placement for a design challenge checks. And of course, you guys gave it to Miss Magius. Miss Magius is the original witch design girly. She's literally wearing like a cloak and a hat. I think it was a close call, but I think any of that top 4 was a fair choice for a win. That's why I nominated them. For the bottom 4, Trevor, Crobat, Pumpkaboo, and Arbok, you guys decided to save Pumpkaboo. And I think I would have put Pumpkaboo low here. And I probably would have saved Trevor. But here's the thing is Trevor was the one that we put as like our 4th pick. Let's shove him in there to see what happens. And the thing that sold us was his Pokemon Unite costumes. If you go look at his Pokemon Unite costumes, they're crazy. But lucky for Trevor, you guys did save him as low, and you put Crobat and Arbok in the bottom 2, which I think checks. How were either of them gonna sew something? I mean, Arbok, I think if it was just like do a runway, I think Arbok would slay that. But for actually creating something, I think she might struggle with that. And then Crobat, I had higher hopes for Crobat for this season, but I did cast Crobat expecting them to be an earlier out. So 2 bottoms in a row doesn't not make sense to me. Now, we've got some secret drama here, and I've got the percentages on screen right here, right now. Pumpkaboo versus Trevor. When I initially did the judging, Pumpkaboo was safe, and Trevor was low. But when I went back to actually find the percentages of things, Trevor had more votes than Pumpkaboo. So Trevor should have been safe here, technically, and Pumpkaboo should have been low based off of the numbers I got, but I don't have the numbers from when I picked them. And I promise you Pumpkaboo was safe. However, it's just a little secret drama that Trevor may be robbed. Trevor may be robbed! So just keep that in mind when you look at the track records at the end of the season, that Trevor maybe deserved a safe and Pumpkaboo maybe deserved a low here. But of course, we've got a lip sync battle between Arbok and Crobat. We're getting into the elimination right away. And it's to Disturbia by Rihanna, which I think is another one of those ones that I remember that song playing a lot when I was a kid during Halloween parties or like Halloween dance or like before you go trick-or-treating, they put on the Halloween playlist and that would come on and it's a good song. And Arbok won hard. Crobat could not keep up with Arbok. I think people were like, Crobat, you've been out twice, like you're gone. We want Arbok to win. We want Arbok to stay because Crobat, you've lip synced twice. Bye. And honestly, fair enough. I think that they probably would both put up a good fight. I think Crobat would be a good lip syncer, but I just think Arbok could embody this song better. So Crobat gets eliminated in 11th place. Episode 3 is the Rocky Horror Rusical. And this is where I said you're gonna be really mad that I did Time Warp for the lip sync in episode 1. I hadn't decided that we were doing a Rocky Horror Rusical yet. And I really wish I saved Time Warp for this episode, but if you want to flip the songs in your brain, that's all fine. I won't tell anyone. So nominated for the tops and bottoms of this episode, tops were Miss Magius, Chandelure, Pumpkaboo, and Lycanroc, and bottoms were Ariados, Houndoom, Delphox, and Trevor. Now, I want to go straight into the tops. I don't know why Pumpkaboo's in the top. I got convinced. I couldn't even give you what the reason why was. I think it was just that if they had like a camp role, they could do it. And I'm like, okay. If I was judging right now, I maybe would have put Pumpkaboo in the low nomination here. Yeah. That's that. I probably would have put Hatterene in the top 4 for this episode. In my initial prediction, I think I actually had Hatterene winning this episode, and I somehow got convinced out of putting her in the top. But you know, sometimes feelings change day to day. Sometimes one day I'm like, this is what it will be, and then the next day I'm like, just kidding. For Rusical, I think Miss Magius could serve a Rusical. I think she can learn Parish Song, and if I'm wrong, don't tell anyone. Like, or tell me in the comments that I'm wrong, and that's fine, actually. Chandelure, like I said, is the head of the dance zone in Poke Park 2. So I was like, okay, you can dance, you could do this, you could probably pull something off. And Lycanroc, I think Lycanroc is a dancing, lip-syncing diva. I think she can perform the house down boots, and so he's here. So the secret drama of this episode, this is our last secret drama of the season, is Miss Magius and Pumpkaboo both tied for last in this poll with 18%. You guys could not decide on who you thought would be safe. So they are both getting their high placement for this episode, which is great for them. So no one gets a safe position in that top 4 poll, but Lycanroc does win. Lycanroc won with a landslide vote, and I was honestly surprised. I thought that you guys would give it to Miss Magius or Chandelure, but I severely underestimate the people. I expect people to just vote for the Pokemon they like better, and I think Miss Magius and Chandelure are very popular, especially in the gay world, because they're girlianas. And Lycanroc, I feel like, is a little bit more, not in girliana world, and I expected there to be bias because of that, but I was really happy that Lycanroc got this win here because I think it's deserved. Moving on to the bottoms, Ariados, Houndoom, Delphox, and Trevor. But I think this one really came down to Hatterene. No chance Hatterene is not safe here. And Arbok being nominated low 3 times in a row would be crazy, and I think Arbok would do fine in the Rusical. So really, it was like these were the final 4 remaining, and that's how they ended up here. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna throw it to the people and let the people decide. I think Ariados would trip over her legs. Delphox would struggle with choreography. I think Houndoom is quadruped, and that's tough enough. And I think Trevenant also has a lot of legs to deal with in a choreography challenge. You guys love Delphox. You were like, Delphox would not be in the bottom. She's gonna get the safe placement here, which fair enough. And you also saved Houndoom for me, which I really appreciated, but it did mean that Ariados and Trevor were going to be lip syncing. So we've got a real spider and a tree spider going head to head. And this is a tough one because Ariados had a high placement at this point and had been nominated for the top the week before, whereas Trevor had been nominated for the bottom the week before, maybe unjustly, but it had happened. The two of them lip synced to the Monster Mash, and like the Halloween song, the Monster Mash, one of the Halloween songs, I would say. And honestly, I think this lip sync is what sealed Ariados' fate. I think if this had been a different song, if this had been Disturbia, I think Ariados would have stayed, but the Monster Mash suited Trevenant so well, and Trevor won with an astounding 70% over Ariados' 30%. I think it's just a matter of vibe and energy. So Ariados is eliminated in 10th place. So we've got 2 of the creepy crawly girlianas out already. Episode 4 is the Snatch Game, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm not a Snatch Game girliana. It's not my favorite challenge, and I simply am not going to be telling you who I think they would impersonate, because I don't want to. But if you have ideas of who you think they would impersonate, please tell me, because I would love to hear it. Nominated for the top, we did 3 and 3. Just so you know, this was production riggery. I will announce that to the universe. Top 3 for Snatch Game was Delphox, Pumpkaboo, and Trevor, and bottom 3 was Miss Magius, Chandelure, and Hatterene. Now here's the deal with this one, is we have Arbok, who I thought Arbok could have been high, and I thought Lycanroc could have been low here, and my friend thought Houndoom could have been low here. I was like, no chance Houndoom's low here. No. And then we're like, if we do a top 4 and bottom 4, we just have one Pokemon that's safe, and that seems like such a blah. And since we were fighting so much over those middle 3, we're like, okay, let's just make them all safe. We'll do a 3 and 3, and then we'll have 3 safe, and it will like balance out nicely. So it's a little bit production riggery, but also just so that it's not just one Pokemon who we're saving from nomination, you know? But let's go about the tops. I think Pumpkaboo and Trevor are very obviously in the top. Pumpkaboo gives camp Pokemon, and she's impersonating a pumpkin, so she impersonates. Trevor is also a tree, and I think Trevor's a secret comedy diva. I think he can do it. And then Delphox was one I was convinced on, because I really wanted to put Arbok in the top here. because I think Team Rocket is funny. But Team Rocket's camp era really was with Survivor, and I have to acknowledge my bias to Jessie from Team Rocket. And just because Arbok is Jessie's Pokemon does not mean Arbok is funny. And I was convinced that Delphox would probably do fine. I think if I was doing this again, I'd probably put Arbok in the top though, because my bias. But this is why I talk to people, so I don't just have my own bias. Of course though, Pumpkaboo won. This is what I expected. If anyone but Pumpkaboo won this episode, I thought that would be Rigiana, and I would be really surprised by it. But Trevor and Delphox do both get to keep their high placements because we don't have a fourth contestant in the vote here. Now for the bottom three, Chandelure was tough because Chandelure is a ghost impersonating an object, or a ghost possessing an object. So anything that's like an object mon, automatically for me, feels like it should do well in Snatch Game. But I just don't think Chandelure's funny. I think she takes herself too seriously, and I think Miss Magius and Hatterene also take themselves too seriously. I think Miss Magius and Hatterene would pull a duo thing, like the Vixen and Asia O'Hara, and I think that's what would be their downfall. And then I just think Chandelure wouldn't be funny. And I know that this was a controversial choice. When I posted this poll, I was like, I'm sorry, but this is what it is. And the other reason why we didn't want to do the bottom four here is because we're like, anyone else that we put into the bottom, Lycanroc, Houndoom, or Arbok, would get sacrificed immediately compared to these three, because these three are beloved, they're fan favorites, they're all doing well in the competition, and we just didn't think that, like, in our hearts that we could see any of those three going home here over one of these three. So if you disagree, I'm sorry, but it's fake. It's a fake season. What did you guys pick though? You saved Chandelure and put Miss Magius and Hatterene in the bottom two, which honestly is what I would have done. And I was really proud of you for being brave like that, and you should pat yourselves on the back. Because I know Miss Magius and Hatterene are the girls, and neither of anyone, neither of you, neither of me, neither of the world, we don't want to see either of them go here, but we have to. And I'm really proud of you for that. Let's see this lip sync. Chandelure, congrats. So this is the situation. At this point in this season, I started pre-planning episodes, I started pre-planning lip syncs, and for Snatch Game, like, we need something funny. So we got the Spooky Scary Skeletons dance remix, which I don't think either of these Pokemon would do great at, if I'm honest. So Miss Magius versus Hatterene, what did you say? You said Miss Magius won with 67% to Hatterene's 33%. Now, I think this checks. I think Miss Magius has a lot more fluidity in her movement. I think Hatterene is probably more stiff. And for something as camp and silly goofy and chaotic as Spooky Scary Skeletons the remix, I think that checks. So Hatterene unfortunately does get eliminated here in 9th place, which honestly, casting this season, I thought she would make it to the finale. So I'm proud of you for making that hard decision on behalf of me. Episode 5, we've got Who Wore It Best Creature Edition. So this is the episode from UK Season 2 where they paired up with their best friends and then they got to get a color. And then they had to make outfits in that color directly competing against their friend, and whoever wore it better was in the top and whoever wore it worse was in the bottom. Now I did Creature Edition to make it Halloween themed, and I also, instead of choosing the pairs based off of who I think would go together, I just used a random generator, and I used a random generator of Halloween creatures to give them. So this is all random. I didn't rig this at all. This is all you and randomization. So pairing 1 was Trevor versus Pumpkaboo, which is who I would have paired together. So that was really lucky, actually. That one looks rigged. It wasn't. And the creature they got was the skeleton. That's their little Halloween monster. I tried really hard to make sure that no one, like, we wouldn't give Pumpkaboo, like, a jack-o'-lantern, because that would be boring and stupid. But who did you guys say would do a skeleton design look better? You picked Trevenant astronomically with 85% to Pumpkaboo's 15%. I couldn't agree more. Especially when you consider that Trevor's shiny is a white tree with red leaves, like a fall birch tree. She literally looks like a skeleton. So she deserved that, absolutely. Next up, we've got Houndoom versus Delphox for the Ghost, who I would have also paired together because they're the two fire-type Dwagiana thingies. And I would have paired these two together too. So honestly, lucky me. Lucky me. Who would do a ghost better though? You guys said Delphox with 63% to Houndoom's 37%. I think this would be a tough one. I think this would be one where both of them would do really well. I think Houndoom is actually secretly would be good at design. But Delphox is a girliana, and it's hard to deny a girliana winning a design over someone else because we love the girlianas. So she can have that, that's fine. Now we've got the clown, which is Lycanroc versus Arbok. which is not a combo I wanted to put together. I actually also lied to you a minute ago. I would have put Lycanroc and Houndoom together for the dogs, and then I would have put Delphox with Miss Magius for the witches. Lycanroc versus Arbok, I was really hopeful they would get something really out there, and they got the clown, and I'm so happy they did. Now, this is a tough one, because if I was judging this, I would give it to Arbok, because Arbok is giving me Charlotte from Madoka Magica, if you've ever watched that. If you haven't, like, just trigger warning before you go Google it, just so you know. And Lycanroc, though, has a win. So I don't want Lycanroc to be in the bottom, but I also don't want Arbok to be in the bottom, because I don't want Arbok to just have this bottom storyline that she got. This one is tough, though, because for a really long time, they were 50-50, and then I went to bed and woke up the next morning, and Lycanroc had the 63, and Arbok had the 37. So Lycanroc gets the high placement, Arbok gets the low placement. It's very sad. Now, our final duo. This is the hard one. Chandelure, Miss Magius, who I think objectively would be two of the best designers left in the competition. And of course they go head to head, Barry Lawrence and Ellie Diamond. I think they would both do amazing. You just think that Miss Magius could do the vampire better than Chandelure, and I'm gonna be honest, I disagree. I think Chandelure is our Draculad here, and I was really glad she got the vampire. This is the only one that I was like, oh, this is probably biased for Chandelure to win, and then it wasn't. So Miss Magius won with 60% over Chandelure's 40%, but I really don't think Chandelure deserves the low placement here, but just by technicality, they're gonna get it. So, here are the tops and bottoms that you guys nominated, and then I let you guys pick who would win and who would be the bottom two. So who did you guys decide would win? Trevor! Which I was pulling for. I really hoped Trevor won here. This was where the universe collectively decided Trevor's kind of that guy, and we kind of love him. Including me, including Opal, we're like, wait, we kind of want Trevor to win this season now. And then you guys gave him the win, and we're like, oh my god, the stars are aligning. So that was everything. Delphox, Lycanroc, and Miss Magius still get their high placements though, so don't worry about that. The bottoms though, you two decided, just you two listening right now, you two right there, you decided Pumpkaboo and Arbok were up for elimination. Which, I think Arbok would do really good, and I think I would have given the win to Lycanroc, or to Arbok over Lycanroc. However, out of this bottom four, looking at that, I'm like, no, I think Houndoom and Chandelure would also both do better than Arbok, so it does make sense to me. I was prepared for Pumpkaboo to be bottom two this episode. This was an episode I pre-planned because this challenge is one of my favorites, and I'm like, Pumpkaboo's just gonna get screwed here. And this is also where I had decided lip syncs ahead of time, and for this one we have There Will Be Blood by Kim Petras. And in no universe was Pumpkaboo surviving this as much as we love her. Arbok, 60% to Pumpkaboo's 40%, and I know that 40% of you voted for Pumpkaboo because you didn't want Pumpkaboo to go home. We all know Arbok would eat Pumpkaboo alive in this lip sync and would probably get disqualified for eating another contestant. But hey, it's Halloween, you know? Spooky's allowed. And just like, this song is so Arbok, and I didn't think Arbok would be bottom 2 years. So I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. I probably shouldn't have picked this song, knowing that Pumpkaboo was probably gonna make it to the bottom, but I had committed. It's where it fit best into the season, and it's a good song, so I wanted to put it, and Pumpkaboo's gone. Pumpkaboo's gone in 8th place, and I'm devastated to break the news to you because she had a win. She won Snatch Game. She won the episode right before this one, and she's gone. So, sorry. Our Halloween mascot didn't make it to the finale, which sucks. But I think any other design challenge going forward would have killed Pumpkaboo in an instant, so I couldn't just not put design challenges in to save her, you know? Let's talk about episode 6. Episode 6 is Roast in Hell. We've got a roast because everyone loves a roast, and I wanted to do a roast in hell. And you know what? I did a roast in hell because I wanted Houndoom to get a high placement, and I really wanted Houndoom to win this episode. This whole season, I was like, I'm gonna do a roast, Houndoom's gonna win, it's gonna feel so good because I love Houndoom. And then I put Arbok and Trevor on the top, which I think was deserved, and I didn't even think for a second about how good at a roast Arbok would be. Arbok would be so good. I'm thinking like, Houndoom's a fire type, she's like a little demon. Roast in hell, that's made for her. Arbok's the winner. Of course Arbok's the winner. She's literally a snake. She's so shady. She would win, and y'all were right for giving her that. And honestly, you gave her an iconic track record. Low, bottom, safe, safe, bottom, win. And Arbok deserved it, because I was also really worried about her. I'm like, I hate to put in contestants that are just like low and they're like scapegoats for the whole season. And I'm glad she got a win, so she wasn't just another throw her as fuel into the fire kind of thing. Those are our 3 comedy girls in a roast. The other 4 I just put into the bottom because I'm like, someone's gonna be safe, and I'd rather it be a safe bottom vote than a safe win vote because I was so confident that one of those 3 would win.
Okay, Airplane. Calm down, I'm talking about Pokemon in here.
This bottom 4, who would I save in the roast in hell? Probably Miss Maggius. Y'all saved Delphox. Y'all love Delphox, and I'm gonna be honest, some of y'all in the comments were getting real angry about Delphox getting saved, which, like, when you can feel bias in your heart, I get it. I do understand it, but also it's okay. It's a little fun, silly, goofy season, and it is what it is, you know? It's just for fun. It's just for fun. I would have saved Miss Maggius here. Y'all saved Delphox. I'm like, she's a fire type, it's a roast. That's cool. However, Miss Maggius Chandelure bottom 2. This is Miss Maggius' second bottom, and Chandelure's first bottom, and I thought they were the girls. I thought they were the ones that y'all wanted to make it to the end, and I expected Lycanroc to get fully sacrificed here. And he didn't. And again, I was really proud of society that day. So let's talk about Miss Maggius Chandelure. They're both ghost types, so they're super effective against each other. Lip syncing to Bring Me to Life, and they're both ghost types? Listen, I picked this song because it's Evanescence. It's iconic. Bring Me to Life for Roast in Hell. I think it just fit the vibe perfectly. And Miss Maggius won this by a narrow shot, 56 to 44%. Everyone in the comments was screaming for a double Shantae. And I understood why, but we're at top 7. And at this point, I'm like, if I do a double Shantae and have to add another episode, either we add in another episode or we go to top 5. And I don't have time because I want this to go out on Halloween, and it is Halloween today, right? Fingers crossed. Yeah, I did not give you the double Shantae. I'm so sorry. But this is also Chandelure had gone low, low, bottom. Miss Maggius had been in the bottom twice, so it really didn't make sense for one of them to, or for both of them to stay track record wise. And I know one of those low placements Chandelure didn't deserve, but the other one they did, and they could have been in the bottom that episode too. So I was like, someone gotta go. Oh, it was a 6% margin, and I'm sorry. But if you love Chandelure, just go watch Pokemon Drag Race All-Stars 2 from Era 1. Like, you'll be happy. Episode 7, the Ghoul Groups, which I was planning to girl groups, and then UK6 did Ghoul Groups, and I'm like, I'm stealing that. That's for me. And, like with the duo's design, I used a random generator to make the teams. And these were the teams we got. We got Team Trevor, Miss Maggius, Houndoom versus Delphox, Arbok, Lycanroc. And I let you guys vote on who you thought would win this episode. So we're having a top 3 win and a bottom 3 lip sync, because I wanted this to be a Fast and Furious episode. I was pulling for Trevor here and Houndoom, because Houndoom doesn't have a win yet. And I'm like, please, like, I'd love it, but I can't deny. I can't deny the powerhouse that Delphox, Arbok, and Lycanroc would be in this. Even, like, their composition as a team there on the side looks so much sickening-er. And they got 63 to 37%. Couldn't deny it. So Arbok, Delphox, and Lycanroc all get a win here. Trevor, Miss Maggius, and Houndoom are in a bottom 3 lip sync. Now, only one of them is going home. Their song is Man Eater by Nelly Furtado. I was expecting in this situation Houndoom to go, which I was like, that would suck, because I think Houndoom would do really well in this song. But Trevor and Miss Maggius both have wins. They're both fan favorites. Trevor was a fan favorite at this point. And once again, I was proud of society. I was proud of society for following their heart on what they thought was right. But it hurt. Trevor leaving here hurt a lot. But she lost fair and square with 25% of the votes. And then Houndoom and Miss Maggius, we got 32% and 43%. In my initial prediction of the season, I thought Trevor would be an early out. And Trevor got a win. Trevor won over the fans. And I'm so proud of Trevor. And if I ever do an All-Stars of this season or of this series, I'll put Trevor on it for y'all. Like, I got you. I got you. So Trevor's gone in 6th place, which is really well. Houndoom, however, has had a really weird track record of a lot of safes, lows, 1 high placement, and now a bottom. And this is Miss Maggius' 3rd bottom, which people in the comments were like, Miss Maggius would probably do really well here, but I just didn't want to have to do a which one do you think would be safe poll. I was lazy. That's on me. So if you want to contest that bottom placement and just give it a low, that's fine. Episode 8, Hocus Pokebus. This was one I was planning on doing a Hocus Pocus episode. And I was like, oh, I could have made it the musical, but I've already committed and we've already done Rocky Horror. I'm like, let's do something. Acting challenge, Hocus Pocus. And then the night before the poll started for this one, I woke up, shot up straight in bed, eyes wide, seeing nothing but Hocus Pocus in front of my eyes. I'm like, that's the pun. So it's an acting challenge based off of Hocus Pocus. We've got Pokerus for the Pokemon pun, and our top 3 was Delphox, Miss Magius, and Arbok for this episode. I let you pick who you think would win. My heart was Miss Magius. Your heart was Miss Magius. You gave it to her with 54%, so she gets her second win. Delphox had 31% and Arbok had 16%. This is another one where I felt it would be better for just flow of polls to have a top 3 and then a bottom 2. So Arbok was put into the top, which I'm fine with. I think she would be the safe one, but I left her with her high placement because, like, no one does a safe placement in top 5. That's weird. And I was proud of you guys for giving it to Miss Magius because I think she really would deserve this. That does, however, mean we have the conclusion to the dog storyline where they were dating and now they have to lip sync. And I didn't tell you they were dating, but surprised they were. And our lip sync is to I Put a Spell on You from Hocus Pocus, which is such a campy good song. It is such a good song. And I put this lip sync together and I was like, I know who's going home here. And it's gotta be Houndoom with an astounding loss. Lycanroc had 73%, Houndoom has 27%. And I'll be honest, I actually didn't record these numbers down right the first time. This is the numbers of present day. It is October 30th, 1 p.m. And this is their numbers. And Lycanroc still has that win by a long shot. So Houndoom, I'm proud of you for making it to 5th. I do think you were unfortunately a little forgettable this season, which sucks because I was really excited to have you here, but it's fair and square. It was your time. You being in the finale did not make any sense. Speaking of the finale, we're there! But at the start of the finale, we first must talk about our mixed congeniality. And here are who we nominated. We nominated Pumpkaboo, Trevor, and Chandelure as fan favorites who had been eliminated. And then Crobat as the little oddball, we put him in there. You know, he evolves with friendship. So we're like, okay, Crobat could be nice, you know? I don't think they're gonna win, but, you know, it makes sense. I knew in my heart of hearts Pumpkaboo was winning this. And Pumpkaboo won it with 61%. Trevor and Chandelure both had 19%, and Crobat had 2%. And if you add that together, that equals 101%. So take that up with YouTube, because those are the numbers it gave me, and I don't know how we have 101% of a vote here, but we do! We sure do. Congratulations, Pumpkaboo. You may have not won the crown, and you may have been an early elimination that hurt so badly, but you did get the Mixed Congeniality title, so round of applause for you. Now, we've got our finalists. Our top 4 is Delphox, Miss Magius, Arbok, and Lycanroc. Delphox has the best PPE with 3.88. Miss Magius and Arbok both have 3.0, and Lycanroc has 3.25. Everyone in this finale has 2 wins, so it's a pretty even playing ground, except for the fact that Delphox was never put low or bottom. Everyone else had lip synced, Miss Magius 3 times, Arbok twice, and Lycanroc once, right at the end of the season. Arbok had this fantastic storyline of being an early dookie. You know, she was not doing well at the start, but she skyrocketed at the end with high placements and wins. Miss Magius started off strong, but then flubbed a little bit in the middle, but got her footing again by the end. Lycanroc was safe and fine and doing well throughout the whole season, but then just like bombed that last episode. And then Delphox was consistently great always, and people love her. So I let you guys vote on who you wanted to be the top 2 of this season. Based off of track rate, I'm like, okay, it's probably Delphox and Lycanroc would make the most sense. However, you guys had something different in mind, and it's a top 3. Delphox had the biggest chunk of this vote with 36%, but Arbok and Miss Magius were consistently tied at 25%, and I gave you more than 24 hours. I'm like, I'm gonna keep it going, see what happens, and I came back and it was still 25 to 25. So instead of just deciding, I'm moving it to be a top 3, which does feel bad that Lycanroc gets cut here, because I think Lycanroc is deserving of top 2, but the people spoke. I think Delphox was an obvious choice to make it to the finals. She did the best all season. Arbok obviously got meme votes, because Arbok's storyline was the strongest of the season, and people probably thought it was really funny, and honestly, it was. And Miss Magius is just such a beloved Halloween icon of the Pokemon franchise. Their votes do make sense to me. I did think that Lycanroc probably wasn't gonna make it, because once again, it's that faith in humanity bias of those are the girls and then there's Lycanroc. And I'm really proud of Lycanroc for doing as well as she did, for making it to the finale, but unfortunately, they will be eliminated in a finalist position of 4th place. Here is our top 3 of the season. We've got Delphox, Miss Magius, and Arbok lip-syncing to This Is Halloween from The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I let you all vote. I had an idea of who I thought was going to win the season. I've had an idea for a long time. Pre-season in my predictions, I predicted Miss Magius to win the season. But as I watched y'all vote and saw the results, I thought, Delphox might have this. And the winner of Pokemon Drag Race Halloween, judged by YouTube polls, is Delphox! Ignore the fact that these yellows don't match, because I'm lazy. I'm not going back and fixing that. I've had too many errors. Delphox won this vote with an astounding 54%. Miss Magius 32 and Arbok 15. Arbok made it to the top 3, but people knew that Arbok didn't deserve the win here, unfortunately. As much as we loved her, Miss Magius put up a good fight as a good rep for Halloween and got that 32%, but Delphox got 54 and completely decimated the season, and I think it's deserved based on how the season went. I'm actually surprised that her percentage isn't higher here. I thought it was going to be a complete blowout, but I do think with the lip sync being This Is Halloween, I think Miss Magius might actually do better than Delphox in that, but just, it's one of those, based on your performance in this lip sync and the whole season, the winner is Delphox. Now, I do know that a bunch of people were like, oh, so much Delphox bias. It's just for fun. It's just silly goofy. It's just a good time. And if you hate it, just pretend Arbok won. Or judge the season yourself and tell me down below how you would have judged the season and who would have won. I'd love to hear that. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like. And if you really liked it, you could even subscribe. I will definitely be doing one of these again because it was just so much fun. And I actually have a theme for November, so get ready for that.
Spoiler alert.
November is my birthday month, so we will be doing a season of a bunch of my favorite Pokemon, which is gonna be so exciting for me because anyone's a winner and I'm happy with that. Let me know down below who you thought was gonna win this season, and if there's anyone who you think should have been in this cast that wasn't, I'd love to hear, because 12 is such a limiting number and there's so many good options for a Halloween themed drag race. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in another one.